Hello guys, and welcome to my channel and welcome to today's videos. Today I wanted to answer another one of your all's questions about infertility, or not necessarily questions but also topics that you all kind of told me about in our private Facebook group. If you're not familiar, I have started a private Facebook group which I will probably refer to a lot in this video, so if you're not familiar I want to go ahead and say that I do have a private TTC and infertility Facebook group if you want to join that for support and information and to ask questions and to talk to people who are going through the same thing. I will leave that link down below. One topic that I think is pretty popular and something that a lot of us deal with is how to stay sane in the 2-week wait. So the 2-week wait is when you have about 2 weeks after ovulation to know if you have conceived or not. So that is what the 2-week wait is, and I chose to talk about this today because a lot of you all that are in the Facebook group have talked about it a lot. I really liked that in that group you all gave a lot of suggestions on like things that you do, whether it's working out or yoga or cleaning a lot, like different things to kind of get your mind off of it. I think that the 2-week wait is the hardest when you feel like you could be pregnant. So if you feel like you have pregnancy symptoms and then you're having to wait more days and more days and more days, or you feel like you timed everything right, or I don't know, I think that's when it's the hardest because you do have a lot of hope. Whereas if you don't feel like you have different symptoms or anything like that, which that's a whole nother video, I think that you can kind of make up symptoms. I think that there's so many symptoms that are related to your actual period that it definitely aligns with a lot of pregnancy symptoms, so it's really hard to kind of go through that. I remember, I think one of my hardest 2-week waits was when I was like having weird symptoms that were a little bit different than my typical period, and I thought, oh my gosh, like I never feel like this, what if I'm pregnant? And then when you really start to think that you are pregnant, you start Googling and you start imagining like your life with this child. You start imagining like, if I'm pregnant, like what will my bump look like, what will my nursery look like. I have went down that rabbit hole of like all baby, everything baby, watching videos about being pregnant, like all that kind of stuff. And I think that when I think that I'm pregnant and my period's a little bit later than usual and I start doing all that, I get so excited that it just is so, I mean, I think it makes it even more harder. It's so much more heartbreaking. So I've learned to kind of not pay too much to symptoms and to not give them more credit than what they probably are. So I think for me, the 2-week wait, that has probably been the hardest part. I feel like I've kind of, like I've talked about, I kind of have mentally prepared myself to get the negative, and that is so hard and kind of negative to say, is that I've kind of prepared myself for the negative. When you get so many negatives, it's almost hard to imagine that you could actually get a positive. Somebody did a little poll in our group as well saying like, how many times do you test, or do you test at all before your period or after your period? Like, do you wait until your period date, until you're late to take a pregnancy test? Do you do it in the middle of it? If you're 2-week wait, like what do you do? And I thought that was very interesting because I think that's another part of like staying sane during the 2-week wait, is you can get so excited and so antsy and so anxious, like you can start taking pregnancy tests before you've even missed your period. And I've done that many times, especially when I convinced myself that I was pregnant. So I've done that before. I don't do it every time because a lot of times my period just comes and I'm not even like worry, like I'm not even thinking I'm pregnant, so I don't even, like I just don't even think about it. So that is, it's honestly sad and it's honestly hard, but I feel like the longer you go through this journey, the more sane you actually stay on a 2-week wait. And that's so crazy. But I do think that there's things that you can do to take your mind off of it. I think it's just different, like a lot of people said, it's different hobbies, it's different, I just got a feather out of this pillow. you know, a lot of my months I have, you know, just had big things happening in my life that kind of took my mind off of it. Like we were in the middle of purchasing our camper and moving into that and going tiny. You know, I had a lot of distractions, and I think that's the best way to stay sane, is to just distract yourself. And another time was when we were looking for houses and we were in the process of buying houses. I mean, that takes months. So think of like 3 to 4 months or more that we were looking for houses and going to different places and different cities. And you know, that was very distracting, and that honestly helped. And there's so many different things you can do. So I think for me, it's just really praying about it and finding distractions to help you get through it. That's honestly the best thing that's the best advice I have for how to stay sane in your 2-week wait. But I did want to give a little bit of an update on our journey. So I told you all that I was interested in getting more tests done in 2019. And so I have kind of taken the next step, and I am going to get blood tests done. I thought that I had all the blood tests done, but I guess they didn't do all the blood tests. Like, I think there's a larger panel with more information that they can gather, so I have to do that again. And honestly, like, I am so bad at giving blood. I have passed out multiple times, so it kind of stresses me out, the thought of having to give blood again. But the last time it really wasn't that bad, but this one you have to fast for it, and I feel like that's what makes me pass out, is when I don't have food in me. So I'm kind of nervous about that. And then I also have my very first HSG scheduled for this month, which is also scary because I've never done it before. I am not the type that has ever had like a lot of procedures done or a lot of testing. Like, I have generally been pretty healthy, so this is definitely new for me, having to go get that test done. I just hope that it's not super painful, but I also hope that they you know, get the information that they need from it. So yeah, that is my little update and my opinion and kind of my viewpoint on the 2-week wait. So I hope that you all enjoyed this video. Thank you all so much for watching and for joining the support group and just being a part of this community. So thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye guys.